So I continuously think that I am done talking about this subject, and then something happens which makes me realize apparently I'm not done talking about this subject. Just a couple days ago, I did a TikTok video where I talked about how when you close at 10, that's a customer-facing time, and it's designed for the customers to know that that's when you stop taking orders. It's not when you get to go home. That's all I was explaining in the TikTok video. It got like 10... I think it's up to 10,300 views in like a day and a half, which is a lot for me. Some people, they get millions and millions of views. Me, 10,000 is like a big deal. 10,000 views. The comment section is full of people saying that I'm a dumbass, that I should know better. One of the comments was that I'm a dumbass because if it was dead for an hour, of course they're going to close the restaurant. Any idiot knows that, blah, blah, blah. So a couple things. First off, if you're not the fucking owner, you don't get to decide when closing time is. Closing time is when the owner says it's time to close. Okay, you don't get to just stop taking orders because you feel like it or because it was slow for an hour. You got to check in with somebody if you are not the owner of the business. Second off, if it was dead for an hour, because this is what they said. They said that they were dead for an hour and this Four Top walked in and now they're stuck for an hour and a half or 2 hours doing all of their closing duties all over again because of a Four Top. First off, if somebody is really saying that in the comment section, they've never cooked in a restaurant before. They either have never cooked in a restaurant before or they're brand new to the food service industry, because the fact of the matter is there's always pre-closing duties. There's always things that you can do that it will not matter unless you get a full-blown fucking rush 10 minutes before close where the restaurant is full. It will not matter if you do certain pre-closing duties. And I used the example of flipping pans in a cold bar, taking the old pans out, switching them out with new pans, tossing things that are out of date, blah, blah, blah. Like all of that you can do. And if a Four Top walks in, you don't have to flip the pans all over again. And then I gave the example of like, there was one place where I worked. Part of our pre-closing was we would shut the flat top down. And if we got 1 or 2 orders, what we would do, even a Four Top, is we would cook them in the saute pans on the saute station. And then we would just wash the pans and then be done with it. Because you don't need a huge flat top for 4 people, and most of the time when they came in, we knew what they would order, things like appetizers or whatever. So you learn this. This is the difference between somebody that has experience and a new person. So what happens is the person with experience knows that 9 out of 10 times when somebody comes in close to close, they're usually in a rush anyway. They're going to want something to go. They usually will pick something fast and easy. They ask servers for recommendations. So guess what? You can talk to the front of house and talk about this is what's easy, this is what's fast to make. We could do appetizers, we could do some burgers or whatever. Bing, bam, bomb, they're done. They get their food, they're happy, and guess what? It's good marketing because then they go and they tell their friends about how they walk into a restaurant and instead of being treated like a piece of shit for coming in and daring to order food at a restaurant, they were actually treated well, they were treated nicely, and then they bring all their buddies in. I've seen this happen. Whole 15 tops of people coming in because they were treated well on a slow night or whatever. Because these people live in this area. You know, I mean, granted, there's going to be areas where there's a lot of tourism and whatever, but generally speaking, a lot of your regular customers and people like that, they're going to be coming in all the time. You just don't know it, and you don't know it for a while until you start seeing the same order over and over and over and over and over again. So, apparently, I'm an idiot, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm a dumbass because I think that if you close at 10, that means stop taking orders at 10. That means that at 10:02, you're allowed to say, I'm not taking any orders. Again, 100% of the time, there's exceptions to this. If the owner says, if somebody walks in right at 10, you take the orders, guess what? You take the orders. Because that's how, if you don't like it, go work somewhere else. There's plenty of places. Cooks are in really high demand. You could just go somewhere else, somewhere easy, somewhere that's super easy to work at, and you could go work there, and it won't be a problem. And then you could just, walk around and, do whatever you're going to do and portion your frozen ingredients and whatever, and everything will be fine, and you'll be happy, and they'll be happy, and everybody will be happy, and everybody will live a happy life. My problem isn't with cooks that get upset when people come in close to close. And I think this is where a lot of people get it mixed up. They think that I'm saying that you need to be thrilled and fucking excited because some asshole walked in with a Four Top at the last fucking minute when you were almost done. You're allowed to be somewhat frustrated. We are human beings. You were dead for 45 minutes. You got everything done. You were expecting to leave, and it is frustrating when you then have to break out new things and dirty equipment that you cleaned and different things like that. And you have to go over certain things, maybe not all of it, but maybe you're there for an extra 15, 20 minutes. You cook the food and then another extra 10, 15 minutes cleaning. So in that respect, of course, it's okay to be frustrated. This is part of the job. This is part of your job and part of your responsibility working as a customer service, because this is customer service for the cooks. The cooks accommodating customers that come in is literally a form of customer service. And then it also reflects negatively or positively on the servers. Because guess what? When you fuck the food up, when you burn the food, you still get paid the same. The servers are the ones that get fucked. They're the ones that get stiffed on the tips, right? So what kind of pre-closing duties can you do? Well, like I said, you can run toss. Things are out of date. Usually what I would do is anything that's out of date, you toss. But if you have 1 or 2 portions and they are going to be due out at the end of the night and you're limited on those portions, you hold those portions back until you are absolutely sure there are no more orders. This would be the thing that you would do at 10 o'clock at close. And throw those 2 or 3 portions away. You hold on to those because if somebody comes in, then you can still utilize it. They're still technically good. So when you're tossing at the end of the night, you're actually tossing things that will be bad in the future. They will not make it to the next service, but it doesn't mean they're bad right this second. So you can hold those 2 or 3 portions, right? You can flip the pans like I said earlier. Just make sure everything's dated and labeled properly. Don't wrap the cold bar because people can come in. Wrapping the cold bar doesn't take that long. Some places, they don't care if you wrap the whole thing with 1 layer of saran wrap. Most places I work at, they want you to wrap each individual pan. And that's a big pain in the ass. So what you can do is you can wrap some of the pans that you know are not popular. Maybe you have Kalamata olives on your line for Greek salads at a salad station. Maybe you don't sell a lot of those. So you can wrap the feta cheese and the Kalamata olives and the banana peppers and stuff that you're pretty confident, you're kind of playing kitchen roulette at that point. You got to pick and choose things that, like, I can shut this down. You can empty the grease traps. Because even if you got to empty the grease traps a second time after like 1 person makes an order, it's not really that big of, it's not the same as like a full ass grease trap, right? You can filter the fryer, but not empty the fryer. If you are closing, you can filter the fryer. If you get another order, one order of chicken tenders, most of the time the manager's not going to be a dick and make you completely refilter the fryer after like 1 order of chicken tenders, right? But you get that done. It's out of the way. Boom. Done. Great. Awesome. Now, if you have to boil out the fryer, that's a little different. You got to wait till the end of the night. You don't want to start boiling out the fryer and then that 5-top walks in. What are some other things you can do? General cleaning, wiping things down. A lot of that shit should be done anyway, clean as you go, blah, blah, blah. But there are certain things that maybe you didn't get to. You can do those. There's so many things you can do. You can check the bread, whatever you need to rewrap, whatever you have to label, date, throw away, blah, 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 rotation. And then a million other things that I can't tell you because I'm not in your restaurant. I don't know what you have specifically in your restaurant. I'm not saying any one particular way is right or wrong or whatever, but what I'm saying is that there are pre-closing duties that you can do that's really not a big deal. That even if you get another order that comes in, it's really easy to just bang them out. And then you can wipe your little stuff down that you got messed up, and then you can go home. The servers are the ones that are stuck with these assholes, right? They're the ones that are stuck with them when they're there 45. Now, are there times where there's entitled ass customers that every single thing that I said about customer service goes out the window and they're a big pile of ass? Yes, there are times when this happens. I'll give you an example of one time that it happened. I don't give a shit if I was a manager, owner, or whatever. I would have been pissed. I would have been upset for my crew getting stuck with these people, because what they did is 2 people showed up 15 minutes before close. Reasonable, right? They sat down. They said, "Oh, we're going to have some joiners." It ended up being a 6-top 45 minutes later. So a 6-top 45 minutes later means 30 minutes after close. means 30 minutes and they're just sitting down. Then they get their drinks, then they get their food, and then they leave, and then there's the clean. And then now you start getting to that hour and a half extra time that people were saying happens with a regular 2-top or a 4-top that walks in. There are some bosses that will nip this in the bud and be like, you guys can order if you want, but the cooks are going to get out of here soon. So you're going to have to decide if you want something. If you know what these other folks want, we can make that and give them to you in to-go boxes or something like that. A lot of places, though, they treat the customer like they are a god, right? So what'll happen is they will serve them anyway, and they will happily serve them with a smile on their face, and they will expect the cooks to do their job even if they're frustrated about it, because, again, this counts towards word-of-mouth advertising, and marketing is something that a lot of cooks don't really have much experience with. That word of mouth that they get because they were treated special, and they felt as special as they thought that they were actually entitled to, starts to spread around to people. Now, some may argue that this could have a negative impact on business in the sense that now you have a bunch of people coming in that close to close. That's really not what happens. In most non-Karen/Ken cases, they understand that they have put the restaurant out. And a lot of times they will reflect this in their tips and with their attitude. Are there Karen and Ken instances where they just feel entitled and they just assume that they can just stay there 2 hours after close and everything's going to be fine? They can treat everybody like shit and not tip. Of course, billions of people on earth. I say this all the time. But in a majority of cases, from my experience, a lot of times they're grateful. And they show that gratitude in Yelp reviews, in word-of-mouth advertising, in sharing stuff from the restaurant on Facebook or whatever. And this is important marketing stuff that will help drive more business. Being aggressive and abrasive to them, they may be like, yeah, I understand I was there late, but you didn't have to be an asshole. That's going to be their attitude. They're not going to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that next time and I should just be nice, right? Very rarely does that happen. Customers want to feel like they're the only person in the world. That's just how it is. And servers know this. They know that the customer doesn't give a shit that they have a 6-table section and the host sat every single one of those fucking tables at the same time. And they have to stagger all the tickets out because they don't want to flood the zone with tickets, and they have to do things a certain way, and they have to bring this person a drink order while they're taking this person's order, bringing appetizers to this person, getting yelled at by the manager, and it's super busy, and then they have to run food for the fucking server that was over here that decided that they don't want to run food today because they're a piece of shit. And it just that's how shit goes off the rails. But if you want a video about restaurants going off the rails, what you could possibly do about it, bam, there you go. If you disagree, there's ways to disagree without just calling each other a piece of shit, okay? You can just be like a human being, right? I know I'm right, though. I'm addressing people that don't actually have any experience working the line and thinking about marketing and stuff like that. My brigade, y'all are fucking awesome. Most of you know this. There's some new people that that's what this video is for. It's going to be for a lot of the new ones, and maybe a couple people learn something here and there. That's generally speaking, this is the reason why you have this attitude isn't because I just want to be nice to the customers. It's because of marketing. If you want to learn more about marketing, I can do some marketing videos. I am not an expert. That starts to get outside of the scope of what I do. I know enough marketing to get by. But if you look up Seth Godin, he is really, really great. I got some of his books, and there's a couple others. If you want the recommendations, I can put them in the comments or whatever. But otherwise, you guys have an amazing, awesome day, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.